8. Friend of the Minkaera. Sharn found and followed a Vinley trail north, weaving through the trees. The six-legged, 16-eyed mountain-climbing animals used their big antlers and endless appetites to clear trails all through the highland forests and along the cliffs. Eventually, the trail branched and went east again until the forest gave way to yellowy-orange grasses, which ended at a sheer vertical drop. Sharn set his things down and stood at the eastern edge of his world. A damp wind whipped his clothes and hair. He shielded his eyes against a bright overcast sky and scanned the horizon. The wild gray Marnik Ocean stretched out before him, across which the Minkaera people and all the other tribes of the east came on their great wooden ships. 13 years before, and not so far from this very spot, Sharn had jumped into that ocean to prove himself ready to become a man. On that day, he had learned of his fate to go and live among the Minkaera. Now he moved between both peoples. Now he had a little boy of his own. One day, Sharn's son would look out over the immense ocean and try and comprehend the largeness of it. His son would look north at curving cliffs and towering mountain peaks, knowing that great rivers entered the sea beyond his vision. There, in the northern wilds, stories told of snow falling even in the lowlands. His son would turn south and look out over vast stretches of pebble beaches and open plains. Beyond sight, he would know the great canyon lands and deserts of the southern tribes stretched away to the ends of the world, where the heat shriveled people's skin like dried fruit, and water dared not flow. Out in front of Sharn, the sky darkened. Heavy blue-black clouds sent sheets of rain rolling over the ocean. Raindrops caught on the wind like leaves splattered his face and clothes. He found a smooth pebble close to the cliff edge, tucked it into his pack. He took one last look out at the horizon. Off to his right, a couple seabirds flew high above the surface of the water, soaring on the wind. On the edge of the horizon, farther south, he thought he saw a ship. Must be a massive ship to see it from this distance, he thought. More Minkaera, he sighed. More and more and more. From there, Sharn made his way south and west. Sharn Nolwen, finally you are back. Greetings and welcome. Sharn's friend greeted him as he neared the coastal Minkaeran village of Kortastown, his second home. Ponder asked, my friend, Sharn said. I come in peace and bring news and gifts. Your presence makes me glad, Ponder said. He was close in age to Sharn, and like most Minkaeran men, shorter. Though he led a trading village, he dressed more like the townspeople further south. Nicer clothes and more care in his appearance. As does your hospitality make me glad, Sharn replied. Come, sit. We will talk and eat. There were many types of Easterners from across the sea. These Minkaera of the coastal and river trading villages were a better lot on the whole than the others of their kind. There were other Eastern tribes as well, the Dotang and the Epilo, and still others whom he had heard of but never met. The two men, Ponder of the Minkaera and Sharn of the Kwali Dane, made their way to a cabin built of rough-cut logs. Sharn, who had only lived in a structure so permanent while with the Minkaera, still marveled at their ability to make for themselves anything and everything they could think up. He admired them for it, even as many of his people questioned the sense and practicality of their ways. Pondur opened the door and held it. Sharn entered the one-room cabin. Embers still glowed in the fireplace from the morning fire. Summers on the coast were often wet and windy and occasionally cold. Pondur motioned for Sharn to take a seat while he stepped outside and asked for Saba to be brought. Sharn sat on a stool, also made of wood. These Minkaera used wood for everything, which was why the forests near their settlements shrank so quickly. Ponder came back in and sat across from Sharn near the fireplace. "How was your journey?" he asked. "Good," said Sharn. "Every year I am alive, the land grows stronger. The birds fill the sky more and more. The game is more plentiful. Summers are cooler. Every time I make this journey, I am reminded of these things and I am thankful." Ponder nodded. "And your wife and son, how are they?" "They are happy. Tenemok is into everything now, crawling everywhere, even walking a little bit. He keeps the village busy, Tesdara most of all." Ponder smiled. "I have finally sent for my own family to return from Minkaera. They will leave on a ship soon, while the trade winds are good, and before the big storms come." "I am happy for you," Sharn said. "No man should be without his family for too long. Men are softened by women, even more by children. A man too long without family grows hard and brittle. Selfish too. So I am happy for you. I have to agree with you. I am not as good a man here as I am when they are near." The door opened and a girl walked in carrying a tray. She went first to Ponder. "Guess first, Dewilla," Ponder said, redirecting her towards Sharn. She looked into Sharn's face, studied it for a heartbeat, then looked down. He took a cup from the tray with both hands. He bent his head over the cup, inhaled the steam, and let it warm his face. The girl turned back to Ponder. He took a cup and she left the room. She was Quali, like him, and it pained Sharn to see her carry herself like that, like she was nothing. He knew a little of her story. Her mother had died and her father sold her to the Minkaera and spent the money on Talura to dull his pain. He haunted the cliffs now, a bitter and empty man. Sharn could accept a Quali girl living among these people as their slave. These things had happened long before the Minkaera arrived on this land, and they would continue to happen long after Sharn left this life and united with his ancestors in the spirit lands. Ponder and his kind were good to their slaves. They would not abuse her, but Sharn hated to see any member of the Quali Dane carry themselves as that one did. If Sharn's mate had ever been sold as a slave, she would have held her head high. She would have walked as if she were the master and all around her were slaves. Sharn's village gave his woman the name Tesdara because of the way she put her hands on her hips and set her face like stone when provoked by insult or injustice. Tesdara stands her ground. In his heart she was Kimana, treasured one. Sharn sipped his saba and waited for his host to broach the topic of business. That was custom. These Minkaera, when the Quali Dane had first met them, did not have good manners. His father's father had told him. But they had learned. Pondur especially had a great desire to follow the customs of Sharn's people, to keep peace between their tribes, to share the land without any trouble. Pondur set his cup down. "You said you had tidings, my friend." "Yes," Sharn said, "and gifts." He reached down and grabbed the worn leather bag at his feet. He had forgotten, as he usually did, to keep the bag off the ground. Pondur and his people did not like for anything of value to touch the ground. To Sharn they were all the same. Floor, stool, table, one no less or more sacred than the other. Bag in his lap, Sharn pulled out animal skins. These were the things the Minkaera loved most. Pondur took them with great care. "These are very nice," said Pondur, holding them up for inspection. "Very nice indeed." Pondur stood. "Your gifts are very good, my friend." He walked over to a table, laid the skins down, and picked up a wooden box. He placed the box into Sharn's hands. "Gifts for you." Sharn nodded and opened the box. Pondur sat back down on his stool, drank more of his saba. The box contained bundles wrapped in soft cloth. Sharn's people loved Minkaeran cloth. He held up one of the bundles and unwrapped it enough to see inside. A sweet, sticky scent filled his nose and lungs even before he saw. Belandi. He held the open bundle up to his nose and inhaled deeply. He almost coughed, it was so strong. Each one is different, Ponder said. Milata, Sensire, Chief Spice, Skix, even some Saba leaves from the north, which I know you can easily get, but these are supposed to be an especially good type. You can tell me whether it is true next time you are here. Judging by the feel and weight of each bundle, the spices were crushed to powder. These would last his village through the winter, probably longer. It is a very good gift, Ponder. Thank you. Ponder smiled. We have benefited greatly from trading with you and your people these many seasons. This is just a token of our appreciation. Sharn nodded, replaced the bundles and closed the box. I said I had news to bring you. So you did. They are not good tidings, my friend, Sharn said, gazing into the nearly dead ashes of the quiet fireplace. As you know, there have always been tensions between our two peoples. I have said it before, but I fear it is getting worse and dangerously so. As Minkaera and the other children of the West come further and further inland, Sharn continued, our people grow afraid for their families and their lands. We have had more sickness, and most believe it is a result of our dealings with your people. And I'm sure you know there have been more instances of Minkaera and others committing violence against us, trying to push us off our lands or take our children for slaves. Most recently, a brother and a sister were taken from one of our neighboring villages. I tell them each time this happens that we cannot judge all Minkaera by the acts of a few, but it is harder and harder to keep convincing them. A pained expression crossed Ponder's face. If things persist in this way, Sharn continued, I am afraid the Qualidane may be roused to anger. All of them. This is a thing that does not happen. Not in my lifetime or my father's. I do not know what would become of you or the rest of your people if it goes that far. Ponder sighed a long, loud sigh and stared at the floor. You paint a bad picture, he said. He stood and began pacing. I do not know what to do, Sharn. These people do not listen to me. I'm just a governor of a small trading village. I can keep these men here and their families from interfering with you, but the ones to the south and the ones inland. He let the words hang and fall like dead tree needles. What would you ask of me, Sharn? What if we met with the other leaders of the nearby towns and settlements? Sharn asked. You, me, the elders of mine and other Quali villages. Could we not convince them to make laws against forcibly taking our lands and our children, against harming us just as you have laws against harming each other, so we can continue to live peaceably together on these lands which are surely big enough for all of us? Ponder paced a few minutes longer. Too often these people spoke just to fill the air with noise. Sometimes it seemed they hated silence. Ponder showed his wisdom by giving this matter the time it deserved. He would still speak much sooner than a Quali elder in the same situation. That was to be expected. Your words are wise, Sharn of the Qualidane. We will do this thing. If there is even a chance we can prevent bloodshed and wars between our two great peoples, we must try. I will send messages to the governors. We will gather them for a meeting and explain how dangerous is the current course, that we must change things before it comes to any kind of war. Sharn nodded. Ponder continued. I will begin sending messages right away. You get yourself home to wife and child, and I will send for you to return with your elders when it is time. I think there is hope, good friend. I think we can keep the future bright for both our peoples.